Well, not sure how this blew up, but I'm doing a director's commentary on the well, you read the title. Let's just get into it. Now, one thing that I want to make clear before it starts is that I beat this game on I Am the Night like about 6 months ago, and this was like my big return to playing this game, and the and I remember pretty much all the dialogue from the first few bits of this game that aren't like in skippable cutscenes very well, simply because I had to hear them again and again and again and again. So a lot of this is just etched into the core of my brain, not because like I like this game. Like I love this game. This is probably one of my favorite VR games of all time. That's not to say that. It's just that it being etched into the core of my brain, the way the game's laid out and the way like things are, like the way the story goes and all that. It's etched into the core of my brain, not because I like the game, even though I do. And I'm meanwhile the other Arkham games, simply because they've been out a while longer, they have. I know them a lot around the same level, just because I've just randomly like had a lot more time to just randomly decide, you know what, be all like, you know what, I want to play some Arkham City. It's been too long. Like that hasn't happened until this for Arkham Shadow for me. There's also the fact that it's VR and takes a little longer simply because I can't. VR is tiring, especially this game. And oh, and one more thing, I do not recommend. I recommend watching. I do not recommend watching the director's commentary before the original stuff, simply because I'm gonna get very spoilery for the later bits. So this is your one and only warning. If you go down to the comments and start complaining, uh, you're just a fucking idiot. All right, let's begin. That that shaking that happens sometimes is simply because a VR headsets are a lot. It's weird having something so heavy on your head, and there's also the fact that I can't really quite get the like it comfortable on my face until like a little bit in. I didn't go immediately out the window during this, and instead waited for this whole radio conversation thing to end, simply because I think it says a lot of powerful, uh, not just about society as a whole, but as the current state of America and like American politics. I'm not going to go too deep into that because I don't like talking about politics much, because that makes everyone sad, that or angry, and well, I don't want that to happen because I want this to be a more like something that everyone can enjoy. Also, another thing, there's going to be stuff that I'm not going to point out that I would normally point out, except I've been watching a lot of Arkham analysis lately. She's great. She does a lot of more into the analysis of the story. I'm not going to analyze stuff that she already did. I watched through her stuff in preparation. But what I am going to do is I'm going to one point out stuff that is only in this version because well, I do stuff, and also the fact that what was it? Trying to, and also stuff that she just straight up missed because she's not as familiar with the game as I am, because she did the video on her first playthrough. And I did this on like my like I'm doing this on like my seventh. No, that's being too low. It's been like 20 because I am the night. I wanted to for this section to keep out the illusion that this is not necessarily Matches Malone, aka Batman, because I didn't know Matches Malone was like a thing until I played this game. Like now I do know because I, but I wanted to keep up the illusion because it had me very confused for the first few bits of this game. But I liked that confusion because one thing about the yeah, hang on, I want pause this for the next talking point. One thing about confusion is it makes you think, and thinking about stuff makes it good, especially in a whodunit like this. Another thing I want to point out is the newspapers, which I tried to look through every newspaper I could came across in the game simply because they provide a lot of lore about and make the world feel bigger. I'm only bringing up this one. However, I am bringing up because I watched through part of this first episode with my father recently, and he said apparently this text on the newspaper is way too big for a newspaper. I don't know much about newspapers because I am, well, I live in the 21st century. Let's just leave it at that. So, uh, if anyone watching this knows something about newspapers and they can give me a second opinion or concur with my father, that would be really cool. Also, one thing is that in the corner there, it says heat wave, and Gordon brings up that it's really hot later. I don't really think that's. It's just the stuff that you notice when you've been playing these first few sections of the game for as much as I. Now, I didn't go out immediately after the radio cut out, not because of any not because I just wanted to read the whole. I mean, I did want the whole newspaper, and you'll see me doing the cereal box maze. But I do remember distinctly. I don't remember if it was a review or like a walkthrough or my own personal playthrough that if you stay in here too long, Malone says, "I gotta get out of here." So, but so I was trying to take so long that it would trigger, but it just didn't work. That's also why I banged on the TV because I wanted to see some random. I wanted to do random bullshit to stall for time. Or, hang on. Oop. Okay. Next, we've got the face palm. The face palm. I face palm a lot in this game, in this playthrough, simply because, well, I've always been fond of. I've always been a bit of a sucker for the old school Adam West Batman style of bat stories or whatnot. I'm not going to say bat stories. That's a bit on the nose. But what I am going to say is that since uh, I like those because of deadpan and stuff, and just in a world of ridiculousness, the sane person just is completely done, like Commissioner Gordon from the Harley Quinn show. So I wanted to try that, and also I didn't notice this until someone pointed out to me. But apparently, I was by body acting. I just tried to act like I would if I was in this situation, because or also in place of words because I didn't say a word, so I tried to act instead of saying stuff, kind of like something like fucking Wally. Wally did that. I wanted to try and do that because one, Wally's one of my favorite movies of all time, and two is well, I think that's one of its big strong suits is that the first hour or so of the movie has basically no words, but you can still tell everything you need to know about what's going on just simply because it I I, I I don't have time to gush about it. I'm on a bit of a clock here. Now I start walking after that, but I didn't know that they talked about Marks, which is an officer that gets killed in the flashback sequence of this chapter, which is actually just most of it. So would this be considered a flash forward? I don't really care to, but basically, I've always because we know it was Pettit because up ahead, when I get shot, Gordon refers to one of them as Pettit, but Pettit actually has a very interesting journey throughout this game that I never noticed until this playthrough because I played with captions on simply because I respect the deaf. I believe the deaf deserve to enjoy this game's story. And I honestly don't trust YouTube's audio generated captions. And if you want to have some fun with either the original versions or this version, try and turn on the captions and see how well they match up with the captions in the game. It could be a. I haven't tried it myself, but it does have potential for some lag. Now, this section I always speed ran simply because. Oh, another dialogue I didn't know about. So I slowed down like so goddamn much so that I could try and hear it all for everyone. But I'm pretty sure that was the end of it. And it's also kind of foreshadowing Tiger, which is cool. I done this. I did a practice run of this intro chapter because I was doing this on New Game Plus so that I could get the secret Dick Grayson post credits scene that I felt was very integral to the story. And like if it was a movie, I would have to have it in here. And in that test run, it didn't happen here. I thought it was going to happen here, so I was about to talk about it, but then I kept missing. I kept missing, but I got it on first try. I didn't record it, so I can't like see if it's like just me remembering wrong. But anyway, who cares? Hang on. For this next bit, now one thing I really like about that sequence is that unlike pretty much the majority of the Arkham series, this game actually takes a bit more care in firearms acting realistically. Now, I'm a bit of a nerd on it, but one thing that I liked is that the lady who shot us with the rubber bullet, we hear it's a rubber bullet soon, her pistol didn't cycle, which is typical of rubber bullets, but anyways, that's beside the point. Me nerding out aside, it's just. I also saw a couple of the early cutscenes a lot simply because I didn't know you could skip them until later down the line. Another thing that I tried to do was to try and get all the like optional scan the thing and get dialogue things in the game. I got a good chunk of them. I got the one near the end with the munitions that were taken and missing. Those were the important ones in my eyes because it's just like so fun. It's so goddamn funny. But I'll talk cross that bridge when I get there. Now, what you just noticed is something that I did every time Batman was talking to someone over like comms. I'm not sure how often it actually came into frame, considering that when I would edit out problems, it wasn't usually during these times. It was during other parts of the playthrough that I turned into this like kind of sort of movie thing. So if you noticed it, you get I don't know what you get. You get something. I'm not Okay, so I accidentally pressed spacebar, and apparently on OBS that stops it from playing. Oopsies! But it's only like 2 seconds after that, so my thought they're still in the same state. So let's get back to it. I'm just gonna click. Now, some of my biggest regrets of this are in the sewer section and also later on. But this is the first big one because there's a scannable thing about the Bapo, which I really wanted that to be established as things because I just thought it was cool. The fact that Batman had all its vehicles and like that. Like I love that you could that like obviously they did because like merchandising where the real money from the movie is made and all that. But I just also wanted to. I always liked it, and I always thought it was cool. And also, I'm going to put it up on screen if I can find it during editing. But I would always I always we make jokes about like the raft and like the glue and freeze blast rafts you had in Arkham City and Origins. Some reason not Arkham Knight, which is something I didn't notice because I tried to eat. I remember vividly using the freeze blast on the water in Arkham Knight, thinking it would freeze over, and it didn't. I don't know what that was all about. I think maybe it was like because it's October, not January. It's not as cold, so it's not gonna freeze over as easily. But still, it's still a fucking freeze blast, man. Anyway, and also it's real. It's cool. Now these map sections, I didn't ever like them in any of the Arkham games simply because they. Oh wait, no, I'm talking out my ass. It's just because I wanted something negative to talk about, but the negativity was that I like those simply because I was a little ass kid. I didn't know what the hell I was talking about when it came to fucking how to press the select button or actually the back button on Xbox 360 controllers back when I first played through the Arkham games on my PC. Actually, it was my dad's. I didn't get my own until a little later. But I didn't know how to do that. Like, I didn't even know that button existed. That's the weird thing when you're a kid, right? When you're a kid playing games with like a traditional controller and not like a keyboard. Like I knew every button on the keyboard. I knew it existed, but you didn't know that like the shoulder buttons were a thing. You didn't know what the hell a D-pad was. You didn't know that the things besides the sync up Xbox button were buttons. You didn't know the Xbox button did more than just turn it on and off. I didn't know you could open like the like menus with it on like the actual system. Or maybe that isn't the case. I don't actually have an actual Xbox 360 yet to test it one of these days. But yeah, I didn't know that. So I get why they had it because well, this is Batman. A lot of Batman fans, especially in this era, in my eyes, start out as kids. So like it makes sense, even if if the Arkham games aren't the most kid friendly. It's still like my mother, for whatever reason, always had a problem with me playing anything that was slightly not kid friendly on video games, even if I own them. Like my father was okay with it. I was playing it. Like if she walked in while playing them, I was playing it. Like I was done playing games. No, don't know why. But that was the thing. But for some reason, she never had a problem with Batman. I think she just assumed that since it was Batman, it was kid friendly, completely ignoring all the R-rated Batman films and also the M-rated Batman game, all the T-rated ones, and all the just the fuckload of PG-13 rated Batman games, or not games, movies. Like, I think she just assumed because it was Batman, it was fine. I honestly, I always found those age ratings on like all those things to be completely arbitrary at times. Like for example, uh, Super Smash Brothers Brawl and Lego City Undercover both listed I don't know if it's Lego City Undercover. It might have been a different game, but I remember it as that. So as it was in my memory, it might be wrong, but I remember they listed the exact same things that contribute to the age rating. But Lego City was E10 plus, Smash Brothers Brawl was T, and that completely destroyed my faith in like the ESRB. Hey, that rhyme. All right, enough going on tangents. Back to the thing. We're only 7 minutes in. This is getting ridiculous. Now, normally I would go left here, but I went right simply because I think that the real Batman, especially early career Batman like this one, would think they're it would be cocky enough to think they're fast enough to do that. Another reason I played on New Game Plus is because the collectibles. I didn't want to bog down with collectibles because well, I didn't really think they're very important to the story, and this was all about story. This entire thing, I loved. I loved that I just kind of fanned it away with my hand. I've never seen anyone actually do that in real life with a bad smell, but it's always in like cartoons and stuff. I also another thing is I wanted to portray Batman in the earlier sections before his character development as kind of a dick. I wanted him to be seen as pretty much like sure he stops bad guys, but it doesn't really. He's not that very much a good person at this stage of things. Like, I mean, sure he saved people every now and then, but that's not really his like goal. His goal is vengeance. But that's neither here nor there. Arkham Analysis did it much better than me, so I'm just gonna. So I'm probably just gonna link her channel in the description. Yeah, just like if I don't talk about something that seems like it's talking worthy, that's because Arkham Analysis did it way better. And this seems like going down, but it's actually up. She gets a lot more clout than I do. I thought there'd be a scannable thing here. There weren't. But I also really like the art up here. I accidentally talking about stuff Arkham Analysis talked about. All right. Another thing is I try to keep my hand out of view when grappling because it like kind of just comes out of your gauntlet in VR, and that always felt immersion breaking. So I wanted to try and time it so that it looked like I just pulled it out, but I think you could kind of see it there. It was just, I missed. I'm embarrassed about that. This whole section is very embarrassing. See, I didn't really know the layout of this game much, and I also hadn't played a VR game in general in a while. Or I mean, I played some hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades, but that's not really as. I accidentally. I was watching through this bit with my father too, and he asked me why I didn't edit this out. And I think it's mainly because there weren't any very extremely memorable problems that I ran into with recording of this part. I mean, this is kind of embarrassing. I got all turned around there, but nothing like the other ones where I had some major, like a major fuck. Uh, yeah, I always hated how you move so goddamn slow during this section. It made I was basically speed running the first few bits of the game to try and get to the parts I actually struggle with in Eye in the Night. I'm honestly 90% of this is probably just going to be me venting about Eye in the Night. So and playthrough how torturous it is. Simply because I've never like I didn't put like a post on the internet about it on like Reddit or something, and I just didn't really think there would be enough people that like had also gone through on the night for me to like for the like point out problems for them to like say yeah, because it's an an obscure-ish game in the series, and it's also I Am the Night, the literal hardest mode in concept in any video game. It exists in other games like Minecraft Hardcore, Hollow Knights. Now, I didn't know there was a door here that you could actually open and it be locked. I didn't know that, but until now. Also, I'm also going to give some speedrunning tips for this game. I'm just going all over the place. So if you grapple to this, you get a really long glide kick tutorial and it's all slow. But if you cancel it, you could do like a drop attack and like insta take down a guy. I didn't do that simply because it didn't flow right. Now the problem with that speedrun trick is if you grapple up afterwards, you get soft locked because it wants you to grapple glide kick someone, but there isn't anybody to glide kick. But I still glide kicked because I'm a good boy. I was being a good boy this run. Now, one thing I always really liked about this game that I heard they actually got like an expert camouflage to do is that I've dabbled in martial arts a little bit. I've never taken any formal training, or not that I can remember. I might have done some, but I'm mostly self-taught, which probably isn't something reliable, but still, one thing I liked is that Batman in this game uses a lot of actual martial arts moves, mostly boxing and a slight dash of jitsu in like blade dodge takedowns and stuff. Now, this section also got annoying, not because I didn't want to save these cops, but simply because there was so much wrong. First of all, I had to wait for the rat king to stop yapping in order to free him in the night. And also, these guys take so long to start their dialogue. And also, for some reason, the cop that we talked to is the only one that doesn't have a gun. Oh wait, I might be wrong. Hang on, I want to run it back just to be. Yeah, yeah. You can see the lady has like a revolver, and maybe the other guy has a. I can't really tell. I'll have to do another playthrough to check that out, or maybe you can check. But this guy didn't. Another thing I didn't understand that they put in this game, and also that really extended this and drove me insane, is why why does uh why does Batman ask for their names? He never really asked for the names of anyone else in pretty much any other Batman series of people he's going to rescue. He never asked for names of anybody who stops. Why here? The only reason I can think of is that it's Pettit. And I'm gonna keep going back into Pettit's journey, but I'm pretty sure throughout the entirety of this, they were trying to set up Pettit as like someone in the future because to be in the series. Because in the comics, I think it was No Man's Land. I haven't read much of the I mean, I read the occasional thing here and there, but I'm not like real deep into it like some people are. Apparently, Pettit is like a major antagonist in No Man's Land, which I think is pretty cool that they were trying to hype him up. It would have been cool if they did No Man's Land for Arkham, but that might still happen. I mean, they might have canceled the sequel to this. Uh, fuck you, Mark Zuckerberg. Fuck you. But they, but but they could still continue it story wise. I really think it'd be cool to do like a No Man's Land type thing. It cut out again. I was about to say, especially considering that the only real adaptation we've had of No Man's Land to anything other than comics has been Dark Knight Rises. And that barely, because Dark Knight Rises, as good of a film as it may be, I'm going to defend it until the day I die, among a lot of other things. It is very much a Frankensteining of a bunch of different Batman stories into one story and cuts a couple aspects. Like it combines Nightfall, it combines No Man's Land, it probably combines a bunch of other stuff that I just don't know. But never a pure, almost one-to-one No Man's Land like adaptation. Now, I just wanted to play that because I got a soundboard that, and I'm also gonna press that every time Alfred burns something. Alfred, being the best dad he is, has a couple burns here. Now, this moment during my practice run is when I realized that New Game Plus is new enemy layouts is separate from extreme difficulty, which is weird. Because I always thought of extreme difficulty as trying to replicate what like Arkham Asylum hard mode was, in that it was New Game Plus, but you don't get the upgrades. But apparently that's not the case. I've never done an extreme playthrough while not on New Game Plus. I'll have to do that someday, especially as like a yeah, as like a oh as like something to do if I want to play the game again. Because I still got that, and I've also have playing I Am the Night on a non New Game Plus file. But yeah, I'm surprised I got that one. I always missed it during my nights. Honestly, 90% of this is me venting about I Am the Night. That took a toll on my soul, but it was so satisfying when I got it done, especially considering I did the entire I Am the Night playthrough in one single day. I'm pretty sure it was like a snow day off of school. It was awesome simply because I did 3 sessions and only stopped each session because my headset died. And it was just the most crazy thing simply because everything I've learned up to that point, like I knew exactly what to do and where. I'm pretty sure like the Angry Video Game Nerd has said something about it, like the gaming zone. I don't know. You could probably look it up. I'm gonna probably put text on screen, having it afterwards. But anyways, this is another slow walk section for the sake of tutorial. I never liked them, but I tried to keep it slow here. I mean, you could do some sprinting and some sliding to get to it faster, but I want to have this go on for a little bit simply because I wanted this sequence to play out. Simply because they say a lot of shit that is like very big and impactful and to the story, and also Pettit getting screen time because I think his journey throughout this game is severely underrated for like a who gives a shit side character, which I always felt really cool. And also, if you wait too long, he does shoot the rat, and you get a game over. So I always get I like my like when I was watching this with my father, he gave me like whenever I do stuff in video games, he never does like, "Oh, the game makes you do that." He always goes after me, which I honestly think is funny. So if you're watching this, keep doing that. That's very funny. But 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 like he never understood why I assaulted a police officer. But I looked it up. I looked it up. I did my lawyering skills. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a cop. I'm not any of those things that would like. So I'm just saying that so I don't go to prison. But in this situation, in this very specific situation, in a self defense situation like this, the first of all, Pettit was going over the edge, but when if he would have shot it, and also knowing he was going to shoot it is shoot the rat would have been. This is an easy self defense. Like this is some of the easiest stuff your life, self defense please of ever. Because self defense law actually applies against like police doing unlawful stuff. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'll put something on screen if I am wrong. I'm not a lawyer. I probably never will be a lawyer because law school is expensive. So take that with what you will. Also, another thing I just noticed is that this is like a semi-auto, like a fucking 1911. But all the cops in this game use uh, revolvers, except Gordon in that one cutscene with Malone. But otherwise, all revolvers. I never understood why it's inconsistent. This such inconsistency. I get like revolvers for like the older ones because like they used to probably use them back. It was probably standard back then. But why such a weird oh wait, maybe this is like transfer period. Oh yeah, never mind. I'm just talking out of my ass. The yeah, no, it's just transfer period that happened with like NYPD. I always like this guy and the like two-faced thug and the steel mill in City. I always hated it. I always didn't like how if like you were to just after saving them, they still want to kill you. I always hate that. Like, be grateful, man. I just saved your life. Show your respect. Now I stayed here for a little bit, so that I could hear the radio, and also I could uh, I could do the old Requiescat de Pace, kind of like Ezio Auditore type, that's type shit, so that I could one because they're both Roger Craig Smith characters, or at least this Batman and Ezio, and also two, for some reason they didn't let you do that. You couldn't do that in. Actually, you could do that in Assassin's Creed Nexus VR, but it never like felt right because it was just like random guys. But it felt right here, and also I wanted to hear the radio because it added some lore. Now, I'm gonna spoil it, which is revealed in a few seconds. It goes to to the Gotham National Bank, which this is from the audio. But I thought that was pick it upable. But this is the same like bank building that was the Gotham Merchants Bank, where Joker reveals he's been running Black Mask's operation the whole time. And I didn't know that dialogue existed, but the but I always felt like they rebranded because like Black Mask went to prison, so they like rebranded and just got to the National Bank and stuff. But it's also extremely remodeled, probably because Joker trashed and Deadshot both trashed the place in Arkham Origins or Oranges. I saw one guy call it Arkham Oranges. I always found that funny. It's like the like other like Asylum names for all the games, like Manham Asylum, Manham City. Manham Night. The Arkham Origins is Manham Oranges. I stayed here simply because it one added a lot of lore to why the youth crisis centers are so it doesn't just come out of nowhere like later down the line of like that being something that Leslie Tompkins like is like getting behind. Like it came out of nowhere for me at the end with the credits. It came out of nowhere for me, but apparently it was there the whole time. So I stayed there so that now that I tried to do a blade dodge takedown, which I think it's one of the most badass moves in the VR games, simply because I mean you'll see it the next time the jujitsu, but jujitsu and stuff. But I didn't know that I didn't. I forgot it was an upgrade because I almost always bought it immediately after it. Because like the way the new game plus in this game is weird because like you have all the upgrades, but it's not that you have them already bought like in the other Arkham games. You just have just like a shitload of XP and you just buy them all at the start, which also got really because you had to do it every time set. But yeah, of course the classic smoke bomb to get everyone kind of thing. Just smoke bomb. Smoke bombs in this game are OP. It got me through the majority of comment sections on my Eye on the Night playthrough simply because it just cheeses it. But considering how it's a lot like Dark Knight movies combat, I always felt like it's like lore accurate Batman. Especially considering the music in this game is very similar to that of the Dark Knight trilogy. All right, we're at the gun shop. Now, I always felt like this is probably one of the silliest satires of the firearms industry imaginable. Because even if I'm a bit of a like a nerd in it, it's still like a lot of the stuff it has. It's just like yeah, it's silly, and but it's also at the same time they never get away with it in the real life. But that's kind of funny. Like that's the point of stuff like this. It's like stuff happening that would in real life. I have no idea how that wall just respawned. I have no idea what magical regenerating walls that Gotham has. Okay, now this predator section I have down to a science, like some like aperture science. I do what I must because I can. I did not intend to do that. Actually, I'm pretty sure that's just automatic. But there's a way to do this without seeing without taking damage. First, you silent take down this guy, like so, and then you go for this guy. Yeah, and just do your little. And this guy's gonna be isolated enough for this to work. Of course, I accidentally did the loud one. I meant to do a quiet one, but I made noise, and now they're freaking out. So I decided to just punch him out. Now, afterwards, this is the real cheese. This is the cheesiest cheese. Like this is like Wisconsin level shit. Okay, so I had another issue with the stupid spacebar again. OBS really needs to stop with hack. It's just let me control it because I hate constantly accidentally unpressing record and it stops recording or starts recording. It's annoying. Maybe it's in a new OBS update, but I didn't have time to make the update because, well, I don't actually remember why. Too late now, though. Sorry, it's just had to drink some water. It's good for you. Drink more water, less soda. And even if you don't drink any soda, drink negative soda. I'm not sure how you can do that, but there must be a way. Now, I thought I would have. Now, the trick for this is first doing inverted takedown on this guy, which is already one of the most badass takedowns in the entire series. Even more badass because of how it's done in the Arkham series. Then these guys run over in a line, like nice little conga line, and you could just do that to them. Another thing that my muscle memory kind of ruined is that Batman's not supposed to know about this lever and not supposed to go up. But then I realized he's Batman. He probably instinctively goes into the shaft anyway because of Arkham Origins with Bane. This is where my father realized that these guys just talk a lot. But then I point out these guys are literal cultists. Not sure what happened there with the combat. I probably hit like a something. One thing I always find funny about this game, and to a lesser extent Origins and City, is just how much Gotham's like built infrastructure changes over the time. They just never keep stuff around. It's like North Gotham is old Gotham is nothing like it is in Origins in this game, and it's nothing like it is in City in either game. It's so weird, but there's still a few things that are the same, like Ace Chemicals right there. But it's this also you can skip by gliding up, but I gliding to them, but I like walking over simply because I find this funnier if you just walk up. Also, his cup has nothing in it, so I'm not sure. I mean, it's not even got like a little bit of drops in. It's just clean. I love this simply because it feels like a callback to the start of Arkham Knight. Feels like something Batman and Gordon do a lot. Is they just stand at the bat signal, look over the city in chaos, start talking about like what they're gonna do, what they're gonna do. My double thumbs up. I love that. I love that. My double thumbs up. Now, while that might have seemed negative from Batman, I think he did thumbs because helicopters are cool. Also, another thing that I always found weird with Gordon's design, this thing with a lot of like not just of characters in fiction that wear this type of Molly vest, the Molly webbing, which is supposed to like you can attach all sorts of patches and stuff. They never attach anything to it. One of my favorite lines. Just so funny. Honestly, this scene, I'm very proud of. I did this scene. Yeah. Now, while the scene plays out, because not much happens, but I'm going to try and find like someone sent a message to me over like about how my acting was slightly different as each character. I brought this up earlier, but I did notice until she pointed it out to me. But apparently Malone's hands were more open, palms up. They moved slowly, lazily, like his voice. Thumbs up gesture, which I also did as Batman, but a lot more as Malone. Wayne was hands are more stiff, strong, precise, like brushing lint off sleeves. Gestures were stronger, more confident. However, Batman, strong, tense, tough, often formed into fists, and often very quick to throw punches or the batter. I didn't. That, I was just reading the message verbatim, and then I said afterwards, "Whoa, I need to talk about this if I ever make a director's commentary version of the series." I am. I always found it funny how in this bit of it, Gordon's hand, the head is just blocking the projection a little. Now, with them bringing up Day of Wrath, I do want to point out that I had a lot of trouble naming this episode simply because is it 7 or 6? Because like the chapter takes place over 2 days. That's 7 days before and 6 days before. I wanted to do 7 or 6, but it ended on 6. While most of it does take place 7 days before, it does turn over in like Malone sections of this. And honestly, that hand movement stuff I was talking about earlier, it kind of reminds me of that one like bit of Kevin Conroy doing both his like Bruce Wayne and Batman voices in one sitting. I'm gonna put it up on screen right now for the like editor. I'm gonna also end the recording and then start up again, so it's a lot easier for editing me.
I didn't realize you'd taken up listening to rock and roll, sir.
You know, I actually did check this against any musical sounds. Computer still can't come close to pinpointing it.
Wayne Manor, one moment, please. A call for Master Bruce from a Dr. March.
Hey, what's up, Doc?
You have bats, Mr. Wayne. Common brown bats. They shouldn't pose a problem. As the weather gets colder, they'll move on.
What about the sound on the tape?
It's actually 2 sounds, starlings and brown bats. Probably fighting over a nest in your chimney.
Appreciate the help, Doc. I'll return the favor next time you're raising funds. Bye-bye.
This computer checked that fiber against every animal species known to man.
Okay, that was pretty cool. I didn't watch it. I'm just saying it 2 seconds afterwards and just gonna edit it later. I am blatantly lying to your face, and you are loving it. Actually, I don't think I'm lying. I've been truthful this whole time. Dang it! I I didn't set that up right. Whatever. This is one thing about the smoking is one thing about Gordon's character in the series that I never understood. Simply because like it's never really been a big part of his character in other pieces in other like interpretations of the character. I'm pretty sure, and it was only really plot relevant here and in Arkham Asylum when you follow the trail. But it could have easily been just a blood trail or something. Like, because like also I love the sequence because I made sure to crouch down and hide when the shots were fired. Because like when it happened in Arkham City with Deadshot, it always bugged me that Batman didn't do that, and he also doesn't do that here unless you purposely crouch down. So I did. Now, the thing is, if you don't look at the Beacon Hotel, you don't. It doesn't let you grapple there until you look there, which got me a lot on my practice run, but I managed to get it good for here. Also, pointing out Miagani Island is one of the 3 islands from Arkham Knight. Just saying. Another thing I always found weird is that dialogue would not really stop in this game if you started a fight, which caused a lot of funny stuff, this included. But yeah, just routine as beaten. Now, this also didn't really work very well on the original one. In Camouflage, instead of fixing a lot of the bugs, just kind of added a system where you could just go to a save before the bug was triggered. Now now we started with Strike. Now here's the weird thing about Strike, because in the comics, he and Dick Grayson just fucking hate each. They just they just fucking hate each other. But in this game, they're buddies. A little, kinda. They're buddies, except and except that you know to them in this game. You've seen the videos before. You heated my earlier. You are an idiot. Now, normally I just go straight to the rooftop, but I wanted one this to feel a bit more extended because, like, I don't think Batman himself would like no. Well, I kind of would, and also this climbing section is completely skippable, but I think it's really cool. I just like it. It's the climbing in this game is surprisingly good for good and like works well and like is like necessary in a game where you have a gun. Like I would expect that this level of climbing quality in like Assassin's Creed Nexus VR, which has amazing climbing, definitely better than this, but it's very close. I also don't think Batman would have expected that. I mean, sure, he's smart, he's Batman, but like, who makes an electric fence like that on such short notice? Who does that, and who uh, who has it on like a building opposite to your building? Who does that? I could be wrong. Someone might post like a video about it and like put it in the comments. If you do, that would be very funny because people contradicting me in this context is very funny. I also did this playthrough on easy simply because the fights are cool, but if you're playing it on harder difficulties, they go on for a while, and I want it's again this is mostly about story. Fights are awesome, but they're most of the awesomeness comes from either you're the one doing them, or I'm or you're watching them, and they are also like an amazing combat, like amazing at fighting. Now, whether or not I am, you can judge for yourself in the comments. Now, this investigation also got stuck in my mind. One thing that is funny is that if you open the door, he'll say, "I can't leave," or some kind of generic error message. but if you spam it, it just he constantly is talking. It's really funny. I could probably do a second one of this where I'm just doing things for like, nah, that I'm not gonna do like fun unless if there's a lot of support for me doing it when I'm just trying to make mm, instead of making the most like accurate one possible, just the silliest one possible. That would be interesting. That would be that could be something, but I don't really want to rehash this game more than I already am with this commentary. Unless there's a lot of support for that. I also really liked before I just like constantly missed the button, like Fry in that one scene of Futurama, put it on screen. I said put it on screen, and I'll do the thing, the
Five,
trick again.
4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Just fire the damn thing. Oops.
Yay! I put it on screen. Now, normally I would listen to this, but it's just a bunch of boring stocks. Like who here actually cares about that? I mean, stock market is cool and all, but that's not what this is about. Another thing I like. Okay, I'm. I really like the high amount of Half-Life references this game has with the crowbar here and something that I'll point out later. Simply because Half-Life Alex VR was probably the first VR game like this to tell like the like story based stuff like this. I I just like because like crowbar. If you played Half Life, you know crowbar is the main weapon in those games. Yeah, I forgot how the section was supposed to work, but I think it's funnier that way simply because it plays into that Batman being a total dick kind of thing. Now, this is probably one of the coolest places to like investigate in the game. So because of all the Easter eggs and stuff, I love it. But yeah, I'm just gonna honestly, I'm gonna let most of this speak for itself. I also really, really like how it was foreshadowing the fact that Dick Grayson also is here. Now, the code for those who know is 411 to 8. Now, if you put that number in before finding it out, the crime scene investigation, it'll still let you in. And like Alfred has like lucky guesser, something like that. I love it. Great, uh, great Easter egg. But but I decided to go through it simply because A, spend more time in this cool location, and B, a lot of lore, lore, lore. Why did I sing it? Now, someone also asked, like, why does Strike, like, like have it? I always assumed it's just like he forgets his passwords a lot. Like I do that. You probably do that. It helps them remember. It makes sense. He would think it with his cult. I always like these sections simply because of you actually got to solve it yourself with all the evidence. Get the evidence, and you got to make a deduction. It's really cool. This dialogue is unskippable, etched in the core of my brain, but it's really, really developmental to the character of but it's really cool. It's just it's so terrible that because of like I didn't I just tried to I threw a lot of attempts at the wall for Eye in the Night. It's so terrible that it's just etched in the core of my brain. It's like not for good reasons, and I just kept getting annoyed. Honestly, I could have turned this into like a Star 2 type of sing along. Wait, that's an Xbox 360. I am just randomly talking a lot of Xbox 360 today. I have no idea why. I guess I just got Xbox 360 on the mind. I also like how this encounter, which is all of them have like the Uzis, is completely skippable. I was scared I was gonna have to do it because it's a really hard fight, especially with that upgrades, which you you don't. That's gonna be hard. So, but I managed to skip. But now this stealth section, I like stealth. It's the Predator sections in Arkham games. I think they're one of the most creative things in any video game, and that no other game has ever replicated. But there's just nothing. It's there's almost nothing here. There's like no hiding spots. It's just a flat plane with a second floor. It's very easy to get caught off guard. Crates are everywhere. There's also the room that can only be accessed through the vents. I didn't never really liked it, but I guess it's like a challenge because like you did the easy prayer one, so now you gotta do like trial by fire. I mean, normally there's not as many guys here. This is only really painful on New Game Plus. Also, waiting for these guys to find a blind spot between them is very scary, simply because, especially not in the night. I also didn't want to die too much in this playthrough, not simply because it would be easier to edit if I didn't die and if it was just like awesome. But yes, and but not. I did do the first one without dying, but I did some of the other ones, and the I'm pretty sure I died a couple of times later down the line. I don't remember though. I would probably have to look at the unedited videos, but I don't know. I also sometimes remember what I said. It's like, oh, it's me. I'm Bruce Wayne. If you're ticking in the background, that's just like Opera GX, and I'm just doing web browser stuff because I have a lot of work I need to do to like download it, get sound effects and stuff. I love the little taunt I do there, like kind of like fighting game stuff. I try to do that in every like little cutscene before a fight. I try to do that as much as I could because it's really cool. But if you hear a little ticking, that's cause well, I'm doing. I also really like the idea of Batman calling 911 to like try and get reinforcements, and then just getting basically told to just fuck off. More, I always felt this encounter was very hard simply because there's so many armored guys, and one of them starts with an Uzi. I always found that super difficult, and I didn't die on it, but it was very hard to like. It's taxing to get through. I can get through this no matter what this section, but it's very hard to do. But I can get through it every time. It's just hard. I'm not sure how that works. One thing. Now, first of all, a couple things. First of all, this guy, this Trevor guy, also becomes the announcer. He takes over Blackgate's in Arkham during the riots on the day of Wrath, which you hear a lot of if you're trying to get all the collectibles, because you probably put him off until the end. And it's just, he's really funny. He's really obsessed with his name being Trev for some reason. I always loved this section. First of all, the music is awesome. Whenever I got to this section and on the night, I was always super happy simply because I was like, "Ooh, it's one of the it's the best song in the game." It isn't. There are much better songs in this game. I mean, the song is great. There are better songs this game has, but I always liked it. It's really awesome. I like this song. I hope like that one. I hope that one YouTube guy, like the Anakin Skywalker in bed profile pic guy, who like rips all the music from the Arkham games. I hope he gets to Arkham Shadow someday because that'd be awesome. I want to put this on like a YouTube playlist. It's awesome. More water. It's good for you. I was like this section simply because one, it shows Batman's building rage, which goes to his rampage of him going too far. I would always scream "Where Strike" accidentally. Not only I didn't accidentally put it out, and damn it, I don't know what. I don't usually watch videos on this account because it's not connected to my like YouTube family. I have a different account for that, so it's just very weird. But I'm pretty sure YouTube was listening to me when I was talking about weird stuff in age ratings. That does look like a cool video, though. I am going to put that and watch later. I'm probably the only person to do that. But anyways, yeah, YouTube's in my walls. I'm not sure if I like that or not. I'll have to think about that. But yeah, I would always scream "Where's Strike" in it, just getting into character. Now, I did that here as well, but you can't tell because it's not that I'm not saying a word. I'm saying a lot, actually. It's just that I muted my mic for the entirety of the production for this. This is also, for those you don't know, this is Dick Grayson from later. You kind of get it from the face and the stuff, but I always like this section simply because, first of all, everything turns red because Batman's pissed. He's really pissed. And this is him almost going too far. And also, there's other YouTubers that also say stuff about this. I'm not gonna say. There's just a thing coming up that I would talk about, but other people have talked about it much better. I'm not gonna talk about it. Now, one thing I will say about the section is that since it's supposed to be Batman being real pissed and just going on a rampage and technically committing war crimes, is that if you use the like vault over move on him instead of beating him up, you can save a lot of energy and go a lot faster, which is really good for speed runs. So if you're thinking of speed run in this game, do that. Unless there's some kind of weird glitch I don't know about. But I took my time to do them all because I felt like it fit better in the story. I love that line. That line I love. I think everyone who works in like law enforcement or like DA's office should live by that line. And it's kind of like the whole thesis of this entire story. The entire story about Batman's I wouldn't say call it a redemption. I'd more call it a he finally becomes an actual hero. And that line just shows how far like Batman is gone at this point. I mean, he does come back, but it's just dang. I also every time I say it's the best song in the game with that movie theme on, I forget about this song. This is one of the best songs in the game because it's the kind of song that just gets you super pissed off. But in like, we gotta do something about it, which perfectly fits what Batman's doing right now. Because like he's pissed off, thinks he's doing something, but in reality, he's just kind of overreacting. Like you could have just like people like Clown Puncher 1 through 9 do it better, but he could have just like kind of just do what I do when I speedrun this game and just kind of go around them, or just like grapple up to the rooftops and go that way. But no, it takes time in the to do it. Ooh, ooh. I love the choir. I love having choir mixed in with any song that's like supposed to be super dramatic, like this one, simply because it's like so cool. One thing I always found funny is how fast they were able to clean up the courthouse for the pretrial hearing later on. Now, this section always scares me simply because while it's not that hard, it's super scary because you spend almost the entirety of it in the vents. And if Strike shoots you, it's done. So you're also probably very tired from the full rage mode section. And also, what Strike can shoot you if you're in the vents. He can see you in the vents because he has the rifle. It's one shot, one kill nature also translates to the game because in the other Arkham games, sniper rifles, I mean, they do a lot of damage, but it's not like one shot, one kill. But here it is. I honestly don't know why. I think it's because they tried to have the firearms damage be as slightly more realistic. I mean, Batman still has a bit of armor, but it's not. I mean, he has a lot less than he did in Origins. Not sure about Asylum and City though. Not sure what happened with those. But that's neither here nor it actually might be there. I also don't really know. Now, I never understood why it doesn't let you grapple up until a little later. Which, but then again, I kind of think it's Batman trying to assess or like story stuff. Like, like he's not quite a hero yet. He's still kind of just a young man with a trust fund and too much anger, which ironically is exactly what Alfred calls him in Arkham Origins. This sequence I always loved, except for the fact it's unskippable, so that I always was on autopilot for it, but it's super cool. So because it establishes the rats is willing to die for the cause, and they just don't, and like traditional fear-based interrogations don't work on them, and you gotta work with them, not you gotta be with them if you want to learn stuff from them. I love that line, not just because it's one of the first actual swears, like full blown like shit and fuck that the Arkham series has ever seen. I could be wrong, but also because it's just so impactful considering that he really Batman is a little even as a rich guy, while he is a lot more connected to the average guy's struggles more than other rich guys such as cough Mark Zuckerberg, cough Elon Musk, cough Donald Trump, cough. He still doesn't quite fully understand their struggles and is just still. I always felt like he's with his helping before in Arkham Origins with helping society, he was kind of just winging it. He didn't understand what people actually needed. Which is kind of what he learns in the end by giving his money for the youth crisis centers. I also love this because it just it just not only does it explain in universe why a lot of people don't think that don't know about Batman's no kill rule, because like in like Arkham's Knight, because well he's a if you didn't know the full context of this, which only Shrike and Batman do know, you could not just know that Batman could either have the story of Shrike push himself off after lighting himself on fire, Shrike lit himself on fire, and Batman pushed him off, or actually those are the only two ways. But either way, or Batman set him on fire. Either way, he still came tangentially close to ending a life, which he is not doesn't like in this next cutscene. Now I like this shot. I like this shot not because it's a sky up shot of of a dead body that Batman feels responsible for, simply because it's also that with same shot with his parents because he's got Omega surviving skill. Actually, I think it's no. Also, it glitched out a lot at this point, and I accidentally paused it. So, also, I want to point out that I am a bit of an idiot because it was this section should have told me, hey, that guy I played in the prologue and am gonna start playing soon after. That's all Batman, just in a disguise. I didn't know that, and I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know it until Malone switched to Batman for the first time. Yep, call me an idiot. Yeah, this is where the technical issues are coming in. I'm just do the like pointing at it meme, pointing at the screen meme. I think that was like that was I think that might have been Leonardo DiCaprio. There should have been a really awesome title screen showing, but the damn glitches. But it was not much, and I couldn't really do much about it. So all we can really do is just shake a fist at it right now and forever. Yeah, this sequence is why I called it 6 days before and says 7, even though the majority of it takes place 7 days before the day of wrath. I also, for those of you who were there, or those of you who just pay attention to the premiere and upload dates, I tried to make these happen around I tried to premiere these around the same time that these happened in universe, kind of, so it could kind of be sort of like live feed of what's going on in Gotham. I thought that would be cool. Also, one thing I didn't notice until it was pointed out to me, the guy who walks with you is Officer Balls, or as the memers like to say, Officer Balls. And uh, someone go, blah. Okay, so I didn't notice that, but I always found it cool, considering before this game came out, that again with that, there was a big theory. Uh, I'm just gonna put a lot of links to some of my favorite Arkham videos in the description. That Officer Balls or Officer Ball, or I'm gonna switch between them because I my head's kind of in the Aslam, so I'm gonna be switching to them. But he was a Tiger Guard, and this game confirmed it, which I think is pretty neat. I also love like sequence simply because they have it again in the end, but it's different because like you're famous instead of like the Walk of Shame. This is Walk of Shame. Latest one is Walk of Fame. Because first of all, this is where we learned that Bolton's in this game, or Lockup as he's known in the comics and the shows. I think this is supposed to be before he becomes a supervillain as the supervillain Lockup, but still really cool. One of my favorite villains. Hasn't really gotten much attention outside of like the odd comic here and there, the animated series episode. I'm pretty sure he only had one episode there, and yeah, but he's a really awesome character that I really like in this game simply because I see him as the perfect anti-villain in that he is like he real in that he and I consider an anti-villain someone who genuinely wants to do something good for society, but is just dude for one reason or another. He's just doing it in a terrible way and just overall making things worse. Kind of like Otto from. I also, I'm just kind of circling around, glazing at all my favorite pieces of media. Also, I did notice that tearing the fabric of reality until now. That's weird. Okay, first of all, the Nexus here is pretty similar to that of in Arkham Origins, so the prior section, which also has these gargoyles around here, which you can also see a figure up here watching you. Now, it's actually Shadow Batman from the boss fight near the end of the game. I didn't notice that the first time, but everybody talked about it to death because, like, on the internet when this game came out, I didn't play this game until a few months after it came out because, well, I wasn't gonna get an entirely new VR headset when my new one was just fine for one game. From all the glazing out of this game, I had to do it, and I tried to do it, keep myself isolated from all that talk. Well, I got all the money together for the headset because it wasn't cheap. But then again, relative to today's prices, it was pretty cheap. And but yeah, it disappeared shot Batman. Since we haven't gotten drugged yet, I'm assuming that is I honestly don't know. I'm sure someone's gonna make a theory about what that is plausible about, but I don't know. This might also is my invitation to the viewers. If you can come up with a theory as to why we're seeing that now before we get dosed with any drugs, put it in the comments or make a video and put it in the comments. Now, this section of the scanning, first of all, this section establishes that Bolton is not alone in their abuse, in like them just abusing prisoners. Especially considering that I'm pretty since we're taken here immediately after, not everyone here has had a proper trial, probably, which means that guy could be completely innocent of all charges, and they're just bullying him. And it's also innocent until proven guilty. And and if it's like real life, this could just be like a commentary on like the penal prison system and how much reforms it truly needs for it to be something that can actually reform criminals. Which is, in my opinion, the goal of prison is reform. But there's a lot of problems with it as it stands. But I'm not getting into that because that's politics. Oh, again, I didn't know about this part, but I found it funny simply because it was very awkward because I wanted to try and keep my hands together for it. I didn't remember this part because it's skippable. I do remember this next comment about I love this simply because one, this is looking at them for this. It looks like Malone's just reacting with something funny, and also staying up because he never got told to put it down. But I still went through. I find it so funny, and also those that metal stuff is cool because back when this game came out, that's not the case anymore. The most serious broken bones, you had to get surgery to get metal put in, and then they take it out later once it's healed. Which, in my opinion, just shows the hole that that the previous entries in the series chronologically, Arkham Origins and Origins Blackgate, have taken on Batman, especially the old break the bat thing Bane did, which I think is the main reason. But him treating it as a joke does sound very Batmanish. But that's not a thing anymore, or at least it's going to stop being a thing. Because, well, someone invented glue that you can just glue the bones back together, so you only had to do one surgery. Pretty cool. And also, I didn't say that anywhere else, but Team Fortress 2 fanatics will know the line, they're gonna have to glue you back together in hell. Well, now that technically is medically accurate, I guess. I don't know. I could be wrong, though. I'm not a doctor. I love all the music associated with Tiger and Bolton in this game. And I also find it funny that Tiger, which is also in Arkham City, after they pretty much all get fired and dropped, they trust him again. But then again, it was probably a shell of its former self by Arkham City, and then Hugo Strange got it back up to how it was. I always found that it's really cool that Joe is here, that Joe Chill is here and is just staying there. He's one of the first people that you see that isn't being actively an asshole to you, which I always found really cool. Because like it, good characterization. Because like he's truly had a redemption since he killed Bruce's parents. He feels really bad about it. So seeing him like being like I don't know, like a good-ish person, it's kind of kind of cool. I love how it says Hell Block instead of Cell Block. There's also Arnold Wesker and Donegan, which I like. And that's pretty much all there is in this. That's the end of today's commentary thing, I guess. I also took a little bit for the cups to go like that, so yeah. The hit detection is a bit not very generous, in my opinion, for this all the time. So that's the end. This is probably going to be super hard to edit, but I don't care because I think a director's commentary of this really needs to happen. I don't know how to end this, so I'm probably just going to end it.